Hello folks, welcome to another video here in the Microsoft Sim. This will be a first impressions style look at the aircraft on your screen. This is the Cessna, or the Carenado Cessna 337 Skymaster 2, recently released to the community. And it's an interesting looking aeroplane, isn't it? It was one of my favourites back in the FSX days. Spent many an hour inside the beast. And, geez, that guy looks like he's got a bad headache. Hey, standing that close to a 337, you would, mate. Get out of the way. Folks, first impression style. Well, for me, it's not a review. Let me tell you that. Let me tell you what it isn't. And it's not a review. It's not going to be a detailed review of the aircraft. There are like 100 videos with people giving actual reviews of this aeroplane. Potentially by real pilots of the 337. I never flew the thing in real life. Never saw one in real life. There are plenty around, including here in Australia. Well, a few anyway. But I never saw them in my travels, not that I can recall. So all of that is just basically a disclaimer to say, look folks, I'm no expert in the aeroplane. Let me jump inside for you. So first impressions. Well, I could kind of summarise them. I went for one fly in this aeroplane. Having spent time with it, in FSX, and it brings back some really good memories. And I've got to say, the Microsoft Sim 2020 version, I think, is better than the FSX version. It's a Carenado bird, so the texturing is pretty good, right? It's Carenado quality. They're kind of known for the visuals. And outside, let me go back outside. I think the outside external visuals are pretty bloody nice too. Like, it just looks the business, right? And this is a great livery. This livery doesn't come with the aircraft. I'll provide a link to it in the description, but looks the business. It's an interesting looking airplane. I don't want to be checking out old mate's ass. It's an interesting looking airplane. And I really like the sound of it. I like the sound. I like two things about this airplane. At least two things. I like the sound of it. It's sort of deep guttural sound. And I like the panel. There's something about this panel that just, you know, gets the old blood pumping, if you know what I mean. If I had Jude on board, she'd be in trouble at this point, folks. As the old fella's starting to get a bit excited. But I like the panel. I like the capability of this aeroplane. It gets along at a fair clip. You know, bottom of the yellow arc's about 160, what does it look like, 165 knots. So it can get along. It's well kitted out. It's got a GPS here, which you can replace for the GTN 750. Comes with a GNS 530 by default. It's got a weather radar. I'm not sure whether that works too well. I think the weather radar's balked in this sim, just quietly. Let me get rid of these yokes for you. Yeah, it's got a mix of the steam gauges, which I love. It's not exactly a standard 6, but it's close enough. And then your digital stuff and your engine instrumentation is what I was trying to say over here on the right hand side. Your quadrant down the bottom, your autopilot and flight director stuff. You've got switches down here. I've got a view set up for them. You've got some switches. Now it does have, well, I think it's an optional sort of anti-ice stuff. You can fly this thing into ice, but it's not equipped. The Carenado bird's not equipped for flight into known icing. But look, it gets along pretty well. Yeah, we've got a grand total of 0.3 hours on the old on the old clock. Went for a fly late yesterday, and yeah, just a quick couple of circuits and to try it out. And what I noticed is that I had to create a custom sort of profiler setting the flight. It felt quite weird. I've got a profile that I use for most of the aeroplanes I fly, and it didn't quite work for this one. So I'm experimenting. I'm still experimenting with that to get the right feel. Anyway, folks, what we'll do is we'll get it started. Did I tell you where we are? Probably not. Sorry, folks. We're in a place called Monkey Bay. Where's Monkey Bay, I hear you ask? It's in a country called Malawi. Where's Malawi, I hear you ask? Yeah, I don't know either. I can barely spell it, folks, let alone tell you where it is on a map. But I know it's in Africa. I believe it's near Mozambique. So that'll be over on on the eastern side of Africa, I suppose. Monkey Bay. This is custom freeware airport. I'll link to that in the description. Why Monkey Bay? Why Malawi? It just happened to be. It happened to appear on the flightsim.to sort of tiles next to the livery here that I downloaded. That's as much thinking that's gone into this, folks. I thought, let's do that. Let's download that and go flying in Malawi. I've never been to Malawi before. But here we are, folks. So, first impressions. We'll do a short flight, maybe a little bit of air work. Might do a circuit or two, and then I'll give you my word on the aircraft for what it's worth. And first things first, we've got to get it started. Alright, so before I get it started, let me show you, and look, by now there's a whole bunch of videos on YouTube, so I won't sort of labour the point. Just want to have a look at, if this is the only video you watch featuring this aircraft, then I feel a little bit sorry for you. But if it is the only aircraft, I sort of feel a responsibility to show you all of its many features. So, it comes with this iPad, which allows you to configure a bunch of options, including static elements. You can turn them off. You can turn them off like that. So they're gone. Chocks, etc. You can have external power connected to tow bar, that sort of stuff. You can have your pilot and co-pilot. You can have a co-pilot. I'm not sure why that's not working. Now, when it's show a hide, yeah, externally from the outside view. You don't actually get to see anything internally here in the Carenado birds. The co-pilot door, which would be this one here, we can close that. Oh, that's a nice sound. And a baggage door, which is down the back, it shuts as well. So that's pretty good. Don't know what's going on with the co-pilot. Might have to do with the weight and balance settings. Don't know. So I mentioned before, the GTN 750 is optional, and there's a freeware GTN 750 available for this sim. I do have it installed. It's as easy as clicking the on checkbox there, and you get the GTN 750. We might run with it. Why not? And next, the sort of, is that the final page? No. There's a whole bunch of checklists. Oh, we don't want them. We don't want to follow any of them. Startup options, I've got it set for cold and dark, but I really do appreciate developers that build this stuff in, and a few of them do now, and it gives flexibility. Allows you to sim the way you want to sim. Some people, the purists, they love cold and dark. Others like ready to taxi. Others like to be ready for takeoff. I'm going to go cold and dark. That's just how I choose to fly today. Then it's got a whole bunch of checklists. Takeoff, landing, a whole bunch. All of 2. The takeoff checklist is pretty simple. Everything closed, belts on, levers in the right place. It's got a bit of noise on my throttle, particularly on the right hand side. Can't get rid of that. That's just a dodgy bunch of pedals, or set of pedals. Yeah, so to get rid of this, hit that button, do I? Yeah, that's it. So then it drops back into the pocket via an animation. Yeah, look, we'll get it started, hey? So we'll get a bit of battery on. There we go, it's a nice sound. And we'll get our avionics on now as well. That'll light things up. I'm trying to get my zoom to work, and I'm having a little bit of trouble with the whole zoom thing with my mouse. What's going on? So yeah, the GTN 750, that's where we are. Monkey Bay should appear, yeah. And we can kind of zoom out, give you a look. Nothing around us. Well, no other airfields anyway by the looks of it. No flight plan in, folks, so there's no real plan here at all. Local barrow will set at 29.92. Well, that's because we've got a weather preset. I'll link to that in the description, I suppose, as well. I can't remember what it's called. But that wouldn't be hard to tell you what it's called, right? I can click this, and it is called... So the DN BOF weather presets, a whole bunch of them, and this one's called atmospheric. Alright, so it's 7 o'clock in the morning, local time. Lovely morning. So yeah, weather presets are set to 29.92. So 1,500 feet is our airport elevation. Beacon can come on. What do we need to do to start this thing? Not much from memory. So I think what we need to do is sort of go right mixture and right prop, which is actually the rear mixture and the rear prop. So the right hand side controls the rear engine, and the left hand side controls the front engine. Yeah, front and rear. Yep, that's right. Centerline thrust. I can remember that. Twin engine, but the engines are mounted in the centre of the aircraft. Quite unusual. I think we go to the aux pump or something, don't we? Now, we crack the throttles. I've got my throttles sort of connected. Both of them are on the same lever. And we don't have much to do, right? Now, fuel's up here from memory. Oh, geez, that's a bit hard to get to. So fuel's takeoff, landing right. Yeah, hang on. Try and move it around. Yeah, so in the green. So, yeah, that's right. So come back down. We should be right to go. So we'll go start on the rear engine. Alright, we should get some movement over here on the old RPMs. Slowly building. Should see some movement of the other needles, like oil pressure. That's helpful. Oil temp should be warming up. Basically half tanks, folks. What's happening there? So we'll call that a good start on the right. And go the alternator on the right, and then we'll go left fuel pump, and we'll start the left tank. You know what he forgot? Bit of mixture would help. Try that again. That's better. Oh, that's a nice sound. Hey, that's a nice sound, isn't it? Love it. You should hear it at full throttle. Well, you will very soon. The left alty can come on and away we go. So, you get nav light and a taxi light on. Cowl flaps can stay open. Trim's fine where it is set for takeoff. That lever needs to go full forward. That's the prop pitch. Autopilot we'll worry about later on. It's quite a functional autopilot. It's just a little bit different to what you might find in other more modern aircraft. Transponders over there. We've got a transponder up here. We'll set that to altitude. So we're good there. That dials it in over there. Yeah, we'll just basically head out to that runway and sort of head in that direction. That's as specific as I'll be at this point, folks. And we'll head out over the water, maybe look at some hills, do a few manoeuvres, something like that. Old mate's still there. I wonder if he's still got his headache. Oh, no, oh, yes, he has. Headache again. Yeah, well, I told you to get away, Dopey. Yeah, oh, you almost tried to give me the finger then. You be careful, pal. You be careful. I'm an owner of a Cessna 337. Yes, bit of respect. That's what I like. Anyway, folks, sorry for the distraction. I'll get us out onto the runway and we'll get going, hey? Alright, let's rock and roll, folks. Head out to the north here for a bit. Looks like a sort of north-south orientation here on the runway. We'll head down to the end. Malawi, Africa. Why not? I wonder if I've got any viewers from Malawi. I'm often surprised. I think, oh, you know, there'll be no one from this location who could possibly ever watch this video. And then someone will pipe up in the comments and I'll be like, well, bugger me. It's a small world after all. Now, to get ourselves out of this long grass, there must be some short grass here somewhere. Surely. There we go. Looks like some short grass ahead of us. Right, so we'll just wait there. We'll align our heading bug. Oh, I have to dial it around. It's a bit annoying. That's alright, gets around pretty quickly. So yeah, north-south runway, folks. Might want to keep a little bit of manifold happening, mate. Crack that throttle open a little bit. You got a bit quiet there for a minute. So local barrow. Our flaps are down. Hell. So behind the mixture levers, which is there. So I hit one stage of flap. Let me just check the flap speeds or reacquaint myself. Yeah, righto. 1/3, 2/3 full. We're good. No worries. It's got some placards there. That probably matters. I unfortunately just reset my trim inadvertently. Don't want that. Shall we do it? Let's do it, folks. Give it some juice. Away we go. Full power, doesn't she sound gorgeous? Look at that. Oh. We're looking for a rotate of about 70-ish, I think. 70, 75. A little bit of right boot, left boot even. 60 knots, we're going alright. There's 70, 75. We can kind of lift off about there. Oh, gorgeous. Look at that. That feels real nice. I've got the controller settings dialed in pretty well, I think. Right, through blue line speed. Now, interesting gear animation. It's akin to the real thing. It's just an interesting how that all works. I might try and if I can get Georgie, the autopilot, to fly part of this journey. I might try and show you the extension bit from the outside. You go flaps up as well. Come back on about 25, 25, something like that. What do you reckon? Yeah, so I said about 25, 25 climb power. Great visibility in this aeroplane. I remember that. Absolutely lovely. Forward and side visibility. Look at that. It's unobstructed. Great sightseeing aircraft, and this is a great sightseeing sim. It's really suited. We're getting along at a fair clip here, 1,000 feet a minute. We're doing about 115 knots indicated. Very light breeze. It's like a light sou'wester, 2 knots. And what I'll do is, I think I've got a preset set up. I think. Autopilot down here. What are we doing? We're holding pitch and roll and all that sort of gear? Yeah, so if we go heading, it should turn towards our heading, which was our runway heading. It does. Now it doesn't have an altitude pre-selector, so you kind of got to wait until you've reached your assigned altitude or your planned altitude, and then just press the alt button, and she'll hold that. So if I go here, I get 3,500 feet. Right? She'll pitch down. I can probably come off the juice a little bit, sort of go to about a 24 sort of setup, something like that. 3,500, lean the mixture a tad, and that's the view you got out front. So it's kind of weird if you've been in an aeroplane where, you know, the panel's a bit higher or your seat's lower or whatever, and it gives that perspective where you don't see much here. But in the 337, particularly as high as I'm seated, which is probably a little higher than what you typically would be, but I'm not a short bloke, so I'm going to say it's all right. I'm going to say it's close enough. And then that's what you see. That's what you see out front. So that, how good's that? Fantastic visibility. Just a little bit of a weird perspective if you've been flying other aeroplanes. So we can change the heading, of course. Head down towards the southwest a bit more, and the Georgie will commence the turn. Nothing crazy on the turn. We're doing about 150 knots indicated, which is handy. Nothing to sneeze at there. We won't go too far from the strip, and we'll stay out of cloud. And back to the left, back to the east. Might head southeast now, back towards the field. About 120, Georgie. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we'll go outside for those of you that like an external view. She is noisy. My apologies. That's coming through a little much on the video. I'm going to try and dial it down a little bit for you. Still got the taxi light on. Didn't bother with lights, folks. Looks beautiful, isn't it, eh? Great work on the livery. And great work Carenado in terms of making this bird cook the business. You can argue about the depth of systems and all of that stuff, and we all know what we're getting when we buy Carenado, and we should. Those that have been around a little while or choose to inform ourselves, you know what you're getting, folks. But for the price, it's not bad. If you're going to fly it a lot and you're going to enjoy it, that's the most important thing, folks. If you're going to enjoy it, it represents pretty good value. That's what it's all about. You don't want to buy all the expensive aeroplanes or fancy aeroplanes that you want, but if you don't enjoy them, you've wasted your cash. And I can see myself enjoying this bird because I know it from FSX. I know I enjoyed it in FSX, and it's even better here in the Microsoft Sim. Right, as Georgie sort of rolls out, and we're basically headed straight for the field at this point. Field being over here, 12 o'clock position. head for the field rather than those hills. So what we might do is a couple of circuits. What do you reckon? Yeah. So we will give Georgie a rest and get ourselves into position for a left-hand circuit onto what looked like about runway 18 there at Monkey Bay. So if I was to say, to give a sort of the short version of my first impressions, I think it's pretty good. I mean, as I said just a second or two ago, I'm going to enjoy this bird because I kind of accept what I'm getting for my dollars, and I know it from FSX, and I know how I like to use it, and I know I'll get a fair bit of use out of it. So for the price, for me personally, it represents pretty good value compared to some aircraft which are similarly priced, which would otherwise probably become hangar queens for me. So, you know, I don't own a lot of Carenado. In fact, I don't think I own any other Carenado birds in this sim. But this one I was looking forward to its release. I thought it might have been available earlier than it was. But I've been looking forward to it. And yeah, folks, it's all about what you enjoy. Find your sweet spot for how you like to sim. If that's with high-end, expensive, sort of PMDG level airliners, then, you know, fill your boots, folks. Enjoy that. There's room for all comers in this simulation game. And yeah, my first impressions of this aeroplane are that it is pretty much as I expect it to be, and that's a positive thing. It's what I'm looking. Yeah, it meets my expectations. That's my first impression. It was just a whole lot of waffle that I could have summarised by saying it meets my expectations. So we'll head to the north of the field here. We'll head around these little hills around the coast. It looks like there's a ship in port, and then we'll fly an approach down onto runway 18, and we'll do a left circuit. And yeah, so touch and go, and then we'll do a full stop. Begin our base turn at this point and get the gear warning coming down. We'll take a bit of flap. We'll also drop the gear as we turn onto base. She slows down pretty well once you get the boots out. We'll just continue that turn onto final. 90 knots, looking for about an approach speed of about 80 odd knots, something like that. So we need to tighten that turn just a tad. Field should become visible momentarily. There she is, and we're okay. So we've got a few boats in the harbour. Nicely done by the developer of the airport. Congrats to you, sir. Take another stage of flap. Prop full fine. We've got the gear down. About 80 knots is what I said, wasn't it? Something like that. Nice light breeze. Runway, what looks like runway 18. Here at Monkey Bay. There's 85. We'll take full flap now. Very nice, very stable, holds the speed well. No real vices here. I don't have Jude on board, so they can't have any vices. And we'll sort of go idle, go into a bit of a flare. She is heavy. Feels heavy in the pitch. Just flare it out. Oh, there we are. We landed quite long. Bring a couple of stage of flap in. Keep that speed going. Go to full power. Yeah, so sort of floated that out a little bit. There's 60. We get airborne before the field? Before we hit the trees? We'll try to. There we go, folks. Up through 80. Cleared the trees, no worries at all. Yeah, we floated that quite a long way. You can come up. What we'll do is a bit of low speed flight here. And we'll leave some flap in. Come right back on the juice. We'll do a low level, low speed circuit. Scare the locals. Around we go. 100 knots or so. Good enough. Level flight at about 1800 feet. It's about 300 feet above the field. We've got to get around this hill. 300 feet above the field and about 100 feet below the top of the hill. We'll just duck around this side. Here we go. No mucking around here. Take a view out the side. Have a look at the beach goers. Is that a beach? Not really. Watch the hill. Where's the hill? There we go. Oh, we don't want to climb. There's 90 knots. Come down. Extend our gear. Geez, this is going to be... Well, that's too tight a circuit, isn't it? That's the field. Nah, we can do it. That's a little tight though. That's a bit ridiculous. Alright, that's a tight base if ever I saw one. Alright, full flap. We're at 80 knots. Going to be a sharp turn on the final here. Just keep a little bit of power on. We get around. Alright, speed's nailed. We're doing alright. Try not to stall it in as we go around the corner. We roll out somewhere in line with the runway. Pretty close, not too bad. 80 knots, we've held our speed well. There we go, folks. We'll go idle here. Go into a flare. Hold him off again. We're going to float him again. A little bit high on the flare. Hold him off, hold him off, hold him off. He wants to float. Okay, we're on. Full braking. Alright, not the best landing. We used all of that strip and then some. Turn around and head back towards the hangar, if there was a hangar. Back towards the ramp anyway. Get those flaps coming up. There we go. Taxi down the side of the field. It's right back at the other end of the field. So folks, first impressions are definitely positive. Glad to add this one to my hangar. And look, I hope it either helps you to consider a purchase. I've got no association with Carenado. I'm not a salesperson for Carenado. I don't own any other Carenado birds for this simulator at present, other than this one. So what you've seen is my raw impression of the aeroplane, folks, for what it is worth. Thanks for your company on another flight, and we will see you in the next video.